Hello again, YouTubers, I'm SpongeBob 101 back here again on the SpongeBob channel. Today we are reviewing The Patrick Star Show, Episode 13, Nitwit Neighborhood News and Mid-Season Finale. The synopsis states, Patrick and Squidina report the news around Bikini Bottom. Also, The Patrick Show presents the epic conclusion to the first half of its first season. Let's dive right in. Focusing now on Nitwit Neighborhood News, it is a really fun episode all around, and it consists of two sections, indoor news and outdoor news. Of course, it starts with Patrick being the newscaster for Star in Action News, which is a pretty silly name, and Ouchie shows up again, so that's nice to see him. The first few segments feature things happening around the Star family household, including Cecil being stuck on top of the fridge. We have a shot with the Dartfish family being emergency rescue personnel with a trampoline that's clearly too small to catch Cecil. Then there's Bunny, who has to remove a clog in the bathroom tub. Turns out the clog was caused by Grandpat, who was heading to the Seahorse racetrack and got lost. Cecil then shows up again, this time as the announcer for the Seahorse Coffee Pot Derby that begins in the living room. I really love Cecil doing the commentary for this. A running occurrence in this episode is Patrick inserting himself and Squidina into whatever the news subject is to get the best scoop. This causes Bunny to kick both of them out of the house, reasoning that playing reporter out on the street is safer than doing so inside. So it's time to dig for a new scoop. Literally, they show up using Patrick's jackhammer at Mama Squidward's teapot home. Yes, she wasn't too fond of her Easter Island hit homes just yet. They arrive just in time for Mama Squidward to plant pest-resistant plants, and Patrick loses his outfit to that plant, but immediately rolls down the hill, only to run into none other than SpongeBob, who's waiting for his very first driving lesson to begin. Yeah, that's the beginning of SpongeBob driving. It's really cool to see this, but at the same time, if we were to go down the continuity avenue, this would mean that Patrick ended up being the cause of SpongeBob's first driving disaster as a result of their upfront and personal reporting. So after getting kicked out of the boat, Patrick and Squidina end up at the Krusty Krab, where they notice a robber in a ski mask entering the restaurant. Patrick thinks the guy is actually a celebrity incognito, and this brings us to the final segment of their news broadcast called Creeping Up to Famous People. Not only does Patrick entertain the robber, he also assists in helping him get away from the police. They manage to evade the cops by literally hiding the stolen taxi in a mailbox. That is funnily ridiculous. Anyways, they arrive at Tony Tuna's secret hideout and find a random fish being held captive. That is some dark stuff right there. Patrick gets the door slammed in his face by Perch Perkins, who is here to get the scoop on the wanted fugitive, and he and his cameraman Harvey, yeah, that loony guy from Camp Coral, duel it out with Patrick and Squidina respectively. It's pretty cool to see the Perch-Harvey duo. We saw them for the first time in Give Me a News Break and Camp Coral, so here it's clearly intended to tie the spin-offs closer together. Okay, so the cops show up and hold hands to literally encircle the premises, and Tony Tuna puts on ski masks on all four of them and presents them to the police for arrest. Well, I'm not sure how that even works, but the episode closes with Grandpat's seahorse race, where he actually manages to place first by cheating. Yeah. Well, add that to Grandpat's long list of achievements attained over various millennia. So, I really enjoyed the plot for this one. It gets 9 out of 10. All around a really funny episode with a decent amount of character development, not just for Patrick and Squidina, but for others like SpongeBob and Grandpat, along with Perch Perkins. Plus, the episode flowed really well from the inside to outside segments, both connected by the overarching Seahorse Derby. Animation in this episode was superb, 9 out of 10. Not only were there so many fast-paced scenes with the boating lesson, high-speed chase, and the seahorse race, the transitions between each segment were perfect, and being an episode of the Patrick Star Show, we have exaggerated actions and designs of the characters once again, which are always great to see. Unique Characteristics gets a 9 out of 10, considering Patrick's already doing television. It only makes sense that he gets into all sorts of programming, including news in this case, and the writers made it really fun to watch. That means Nitwit Neighborhood News gets a total of 27 out of 30. Moving on to mid-season finale, I would start by saying that this episode does a really, really good job as a mid-season finale with a pink carpet and a whole bunch of segments where past characters that we've seen across the past 13 episodes make their return, sometimes for really random reasons. So Perch Perkins introduces the program as a limousine pulls up to the raving crowds in front of the Star family residence. Patrick and Squidina get out and do typical red carpet poses, with the latter actually wearing SpongeBob as a hat. Strange fashion, but okay. The piggy bank winking back at Patrick and Squidina during the opening was pretty cute, I'd say. The first segment involved Patrick and Squidina pretending to be on the moon, just so that Patrick could fart. It does garner boos from Grandpat and Mama Squidward, which happens to be a recurring occurrence throughout the episode. Next, Fenton and Krabina Finkel bringing Bunny with a trained tattoos. The tattoo thing was okay, but my main question here is, why are Fenton and Krabina here? I thought they were having a rival show. Guess they just wanted to put aside the rivalry for just this special. The third order of business is Slappy's Poem Corner. I don't like Slappy one bit, so we'll just move on to a whole bunch of characters showing up. So we have Pearl showing up with a joke about keeping secrets, and then we have Sandy and the Flying Dutchman joking about reading the obituaries to see who's single. Wow. And then the Flim Flam Bros from The Haunting of Star House returning just to laugh, and they get tomatoes thrown at them as well. There's a segment on today's magic word, that being explosion. Upon saying it, Patrick explodes. How hilariously appropriate. This is not the last time we have an explosion. Explosions never get old in the SpongeBob universe. That is followed up by a black and white segment called That's Tinkle. Yeah, the Star family's toilet bowl pet, which is, weirder than having a sea urchin as a pet, but basically, a random character comes along to find Tinkle barking at a well, shows concern, then gets bitten by Tinkle and falls into the well. It starts with Fred and then Mr. Krabs. Now this goes on, and it's funny and stupid at the same time if you ask me. The whole well is packed by the end of the episode, by the way. There's also a fight between different forms of Patrick who are then all fired in favor of the dancing Patricks. Seriously though, this episode is filled with corny jokes. The next one features Sponge Monster and Dr. Plankenstein, so yeah, the stop motion ones. If you thought this episode couldn't get more random, we then move outside, where we have Bunny and Cecil who are about to launch Squidina from a catapult. Talk about abuse here, until they end up launching themselves in true idiotic fashion. We transition over to prehistoric times for a segment called Guess What Me Thinking. It's basically a quiz show, and Old Man Jenkins actually makes a correct guess, although it's not clear how his thought process brought him to that conclusion. It didn't matter though. He's promptly eaten by the giant sea chicken, who is then eaten by Dino Squidward. So the next segment was something I thought was completely unnecessary, until Squidward comes up demanding Cecil pay the money he owed for the newspaper. Now that is continuity done right. Patrick and Squidina both get notices from the Admiral from Who's a Big Boy that Patrick passed his clown exam and Squidina passed her evil ventriloquist dummy exam. So yeah, this starts the whole thing where Squidina starts chasing Clown Patrick, and while that's going on, Grandpat gets into a fight with Mama Squidward over evil ventriloquists, and they challenge each other to an air battle. They literally use their homes as airships, basically. So it was awesome seeing the inherent design of the homes being made use of, a coffee pot dumping coffee and a teapot blasting scones. Love to see it. The portrayal of the time-lapse footage of the Star family residence being rebuilt as magical was also great. It doesn't make any sense, even without the time-lapse, how the rebuilding process could take place so quickly, but hey, it's a cartoon. And finally, we get to the celebrity appearance that the audience has been waiting for. Turns out the real Patrick had been in the bathroom the whole time, and some random dude was pretending to be Patrick. Okay, not the kind of random that I like, but all that matters is the explosion as the finale. The finale literally goes out with a bang, so kudos to the writers for making that a thing. So plot-wise, Even though this episode is all over the place, it deserves a 9 out of 10. I found every segment chosen was brilliantly written and executed, and it was a really fun episode all around. Of course, animation for this episode gets a 10 out of 10. There were a plethora of different art styles and so many amazing scenes. I don't know what else I should say, it's just awesome. Unique characteristics gets a 10 out of 10. It is the first time in a really long time since we had a celebration themed episode where the characters are celebrating their success thus far, and unlike Truth or Square, which was more intended to be nostalgic than celebratory, or SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout, which kind of missed the mark in my opinion, this one really hits the spot, and with all the characters packed in just for the fun of it too, it's unforgettable. Therefore, mid-season finale gets 29 out of 30 from me. That's all for these 2 episodes. Let me know in the comments what you thought about both of them. Make sure to subscribe, like, and keep it right here on Ultimate SpongeBob 101. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you guys in the next SpongeBob video. Bye!